I couldn't reach my daughter for 5 days. When I went to her house, I heard scratching under the BD chapter when the phone felt heavy in my hand. I stared at the screen. 5 days of unanswered calls. 5 days of voicemails that went nowhere. 5 days of texts that showed delivered but never read. My name is Margaret. I am 62 years old. I live in a small house in Phoenix, Arizona. The heat here is dry and unforgiving. It gets into your bones. But right now, the cold in my chest was worse than any desert sun. My daughter, Emily, is 34. She has auburn hair like her father. She has my stubborn chin. She works as a nurse at the county hospital. She has a 3-year-old son named Leo. He has her smile. He has his father's eyes. His father is Daniel. Daniel is a contractor. He builds custom cabinets in a shop behind their house. He is a good man. A quiet man. He loves his family. I know he does. But the silence from Emily was eating me alive. I called Daniel first. The phone rang and rang. No answer. I left a message. My voice cracked. Daniel, it's Margaret. I haven't heard from Emily in days. Is everything okay? Please call me back. He didn't call back. I called the hospital. They said Emily had taken personal leave. She wasn't scheduled to return for another week. The woman on the phone had a cheerful voice. She said, "I'm sure she's just enjoying some time with her family." I wanted to believe that. But mothers know things. I drove to their house. It's a modest ranch-style home on a cul-de-sac in Glendale. The lawn was overgrown. The sprinklers had been running for too long. Water pooled around the base of the mailbox. That was not like Emily. She was meticulous about her yard. She would never waste water. Not in Arizona. I parked my old Ford Taurus on the street. The engine ticked as it cooled. The air was thick with the smell of creosote and dust. I walked up the cracked concrete path. The front door was closed. A flyer for a pizza place was tucked into the doorframe. It looked like it had been there for days. I knocked. No answer. I rang the bell. The sound echoed inside. Empty. I peered through the window beside the door. The living room was tidy. Too tidy. The cushions on the sofa were perfectly fluffed. The magazines on the coffee table were stacked in a neat fan shape. There were no toys on the floor. No cups on the side tables. It looked like a showroom. My heart started to beat faster. My hands started to tremble. I dug my keys out of my purse. Emily gave me a spare key years ago. She said, "For emergencies, Mom. Just in case." I had never used it. Until now. The key turned in the lock. The door swung open. The air inside was cool. The air conditioning was running. That was good. That meant someone had been there recently. But the air was also stale. It had a closed-in smell. A smell of dust and old air and something else. Something metallic. Emily. I called out. My voice was thin. It didn't carry. Leo. Daniel. Silence. I stepped inside. The floor creaked under my weight. I hate that sound. It always makes me feel like I'm intruding. Even when I'm not. I moved through the living room. The TV was off. The remote was on the armrest of the recliner. I touched it. It was cold. I walked towards the kitchen. The kitchen was spotless. The sink was empty. A single coffee mug sat in the drying rack. It was the one Emily always used. It had a cartoon cat on it. Her favorite. I opened the refrigerator. It was stocked. Milk, eggs, cheese, yogurt. All of it looked fresh. A loaf of bread sat on the counter. It was still soft. I touched it. Not stale. So, someone had been here. Recently. Very recently. Emily. I called again. Louder this time. My voice bounced off the tile. No answer. I walked down the hallway. The photos on the wall were familiar. Emily's wedding picture. Leo's first birthday. A family portrait from 2 years ago. We were all smiling. Daniel had his arm around Emily. Leo was squirming in her lap. It was a perfect day. The hallway led to the bedrooms. Leo's room was first. The door was open. The room was a mess. Toys were scattered everywhere. Train tracks were half built on the floor. A stuffed dinosaur was wedged between the bed and the wall. This was normal. This was comforting. This was what a toddler's room should look like. But the dinosaur was covered in a thin layer of dust. I moved on. The master bedroom was at the end of the hall. The door was closed. I stood outside for a moment. I pressed my ear to the wood. I listened. At first, I heard nothing. Just the hum of the air conditioning. Just the thrum of my own blood in my ears. Then I heard it. A soft sound. A scraping sound. A scratching sound. It was coming from inside the room. From the floor. From the far side of the room. It was rhythmic. Slow. Deliberate. Scratch. Pause. Scratch. Pause. It was the sound of a fingernail on wood. A cold wave of dread washed over me. My mind raced through a dozen terrible scenarios. A burglar. An animal. A child hiding. Emily playing a joke. None of them made sense. I reached out and turned the knob. The door pushed open. The room was dark. The curtains were drawn. The only light came from the hallway behind me. It cast a long shadow across the bed. The bed was made. The pillows were fluffed. The comforter was pulled tight over the mattress. I stepped inside. I felt the carpet crunch under my shoe. It was dry and brittle. I looked around. The room was clean. Too clean. It was like the living room. Everything was in its place. Almost obsessively so. The scratching sound had stopped. I held my breath. I listened. The silence was deafening. Who's there? I whispered. My voice was barely audible. Nothing. Then the scratching started again. It was louder now. It was coming from under the bed. It was frantic. Desperate. I dropped to my knees. I was 62 years old. My knees popped and ached. The pain was sharp. But I didn't care. I leaned down. I peered into the darkness beneath the bed. It was too dark to see anything. I blinked, trying to adjust my eyes. I could make out the shape of shoes. A pair of sneakers. A pair of small boots. A pair of pink plastic sandals. Then a face appeared. It was Leo. He was pressed flat against the floor. His eyes were wide. His cheeks were wet with tears. His mouth was open in a silent scream. He was terrified. Leo. I cried. I reached for him. I tried to grab his arm. I tried to pull him out. But he jerked away. He shook his head violently. He put a finger to his lips. A desperate shushing gesture. Then I heard the sound that had been hidden by his scratching. It was a low sound. A creaking sound. The sound of someone moving. Someone heavy. Someone in the room with me. I spun around. I looked up from the floor. My eyes scanned the room. The closet door was open. A sliver of darkness. A patch of shadow deeper than the rest. And in that shadow, I saw a boot. A heavy work boot. A man's boot. It was still. It was silent. It was watching me. I didn't scream. I didn't move. My body froze. My mind was screaming. Run. Get Leo. Run. I looked back under the bed. Leo was shaking his head. His eyes were locked on something behind me. He was terrified for me. The scratching sound started again. But it wasn't Leo this time. It was from under the bed. A different scratch. A deeper scratch. The sound of a blade being sharpened on a stone. I scrambled to my feet. My legs felt like jelly. I backed towards the door. My eyes were fixed on that boot in the closet. The boot moved. It shifted. It stepped forward. A leg appeared. Dark denim. A leather belt. A large hand gripping the doorframe. Who's there? I said. My voice was a croak. A pathetic, trembling sound. The closet door flew open. It was Daniel. He looked terrible. His face was pale. His eyes were red and swollen. His hair was matted and unkempt. He was wearing the same clothes he had been wearing in the family portrait. His shirt was wrinkled. His boots were covered in mud. But it was his hands that drew my gaze. His knuckles were raw, scraped, torn, like he had been punching a wall for hours. Or digging in the dirt. Daniel, I breathed. What happened? Where's Emily? What's going on? He stared at me. His eyes were blank. Hollow. Like he didn't recognize me. Mom, he said. His voice was low and ragged. Like he hadn't spoken in days. You shouldn't be here. You have to leave. Where's Emily? I demanded. Where's my daughter? Where's my grandson? His face crumpled. He looked at the floor. He looked at the bed. He looked at the closet. Then he looked at me. She's not here, he said. His voice broke. I felt the world tilt. The room spun. I grabbed the doorframe to steady myself. Where is she? I said. Where is my daughter? Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He just stared at me. His eyes were filled with a pain I had never seen before. A pain that went beyond grief. A pain that was primal. Elemental. And then I heard it again. A scratching sound. But this time it was different. It was not coming from under the bed. It was not coming from the closet. It was coming from the walls. It was coming from everywhere. I backed away from Daniel. My eyes darted around the room. The scratching was a whisper that became a murmur. It was a sound that seemed to come from the drywall itself. From the ceiling. From the floorboards beneath my feet. It was the sound of 1,000 tiny nails scraping against 1,000 surfaces. Daniel didn't seem to notice. He just stood there, swaying slightly. His eyes were distant. Lost in a nightmare. Daniel, what is that sound? I asked. My voice was sharp. Forced. He blinked. He looked at me. He looked at the ceiling. He looked at the floor. Then he shook his head. It's the house, he said. The house is settling. The house isn't settling, I snapped. I pointed at the wall. That's not the sound of settling. That's the sound of something moving. His eyes flickered with something. Fear. Recognition. He swallowed hard. It's the foundation, he said. The heat. The soil. It shifts. I shook my head. I didn't believe him. I didn't believe a word he said. He was hiding something. He was hiding everything. I looked under the bed again. Leo was still there. Still pressed flat against the floor. Still terrified. Leo, I said. I softened my voice. Sweetheart, come out. Come to Grandma. Leo shook his head. He held up his hands. He was holding a piece of paper. It was crumpled and torn. He thrust it towards me. I leaned down and took it. I unfolded it. It was a drawing. A child's drawing. Crayon on a ripped-out page of a coloring book. It showed a stick-figure woman with long red hair. Emily. She was lying on the floor. Her arms were spread wide. Her mouth was a black circle. A scream. And above her, a dark cloud. A shape. A man with no face. I felt the blood drain from my face. My hands started to shake. Leo, I whispered. Baby, who drew this? Leo just pointed at Daniel. His little finger was trembling. I looked at Daniel. He was staring at me. His face was a mask. A mask of confusion. A mask of pain. But there was something else there. Something hidden. Something dark. Daniel, answer me, I said. Where is Emily? What did you do? Margaret, you don't understand, he said. You have to leave. You have to take Leo. You have to get out of this house. Why? I demanded. Why do we have to leave? What are you hiding? He moved towards me. I flinched. He stopped. He held up his hands. The raw, scraped hands. The bloody knuckles. Please, he said. Just listen to me. Emily is gone. She left. She took some things. She said she needed time. She said she needed space. Left, I laughed. It was a bitter, hollow sound. She wouldn't leave Leo. She wouldn't leave without calling me. She wouldn't just disappear. She did, he said. She did. I don't know why. We had a fight. A stupid fight. About money. About the house. About everything. She got angry. She said she needed a break. She packed a bag. She drove away. 5 days ago, I said. 5 days ago, he repeated. And you didn't call me, I said. You didn't tell me my daughter had disappeared. I didn't want to worry you, he said. I thought she would come back. I thought she just needed to calm down. I was going to call you. I was going to tell you everything. I just needed to find her first. Find her, I said. She's been gone for 5 days, and you haven't found her. I've been looking, he said. I've been driving around. I've been calling her friends. I've been to the police. They said they can't do anything. She's an adult. She left voluntarily. There's no sign of foul play. The police, I said. You went to the police? Yes, he said. Yesterday. They said they would file a report. They said they would keep an eye out. But they said she probably just needed some space. They said wives leave all the time. I shook my head. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was not my son-in-law. This was a stranger. A man I didn't recognize. A man who was lying to me. Leo, I said. I turned back to the boy. Come here. Now. We're leaving. Leo hesitated. He looked at Daniel. He looked at me. Then he nodded. He started to crawl out from under the bed. But then he stopped. He froze. His eyes went wide again. He pointed at the closet. Daniel turned. His face was pale. "What is it, buddy?" he said. "What's wrong?" Leo just pointed. His finger was steady. He was pointing at the floor of the closet. At the carpet. I looked. There was a dark stain on the carpet. A brownish-red stain. It was shaped like a splatter. Like something had been dropped. Like something had been spilled. "Daniel," I said. My voice was flat. "What is that?" He looked at the stain. His face went white. He looked at me. He looked at Leo. He looked back at the stain. "It's nothing," he said. "It's paint. From my shop. I was working late. I tracked it in." "Paint," I said. I walked towards the closet. I knelt down. I touched the stain with my finger. It was dry. It was brittle. It flaked off. I rubbed it between my fingers. It was not paint. Paint doesn't flake like that. Paint doesn't smell like that. It was rust. Old blood. I felt a scream building in my throat. I pushed it down. I couldn't afford to panic. I had to protect Leo. I had to get him out of there. I stood up. I turned to face Daniel. He was watching me. His eyes were calculating. His hands were clenched at his sides. I grabbed Leo's arm. I pulled him to his feet. He was shaking. His skin was cold. I held him close. I backed towards the door. "Where are you going?" Daniel asked. His voice was tight. "We're leaving," I said. "We're going to my house. We're going to call the police. We're going to figure this out." "Margaret, please," he said. "Don't. Let me explain." "Explain what?" I said. "Explain the blood in your closet. Explain the blood on your hands. Explain why my grandson is hiding under the bed with a drawing of his mother being attacked." Daniel's face contorted. He looked like he was going to be sick. He took a step towards me. "Margaret, I didn't do anything to her," he said. "I swear. I would never hurt her. I love her. You know I love her." "Then where is she?" I screamed. "Where is my daughter?" "I don't know," he said. "I don't know. But I think she's still here. I think she's in the walls." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stared at him. He stared at me. The air between us crackled with something unspeakable. "You're insane," I said. "You've lost your mind." "I haven't," he said. "I swear to you, Margaret." After she left, I heard things. Scratching. Tapping. Whispers. Coming from everywhere. The walls. The floors. The ceiling. I thought I was going crazy. But then I started to wonder. I started to think maybe she never left at all. I shook my head. I couldn't process what he was saying. It was too absurd. Too horrible. "She's in the crawl space," he said. "Under the floorboards. There's a trapdoor in the closet. I found it a few months ago. It's how I get to the pipes. But I think she found it too. I think she fell in. I think she's been trapped there this whole time." "Then why haven't you let her out?" I demanded. "If you think she's in there, why haven't you opened the trapdoor?" He looked at the floor. He looked at his hands. He looked at the bloody knuckles. "Because I'm scared," he whispered. "I'm scared of what I'll find. I'm scared of what I'll see. I'm scared she's dead. I'm scared I killed her." His voice broke on the last word. He started to cry. Big, heaving sobs that shook his entire body. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to believe. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted to stay. Part of me wanted to find that trapdoor and open it myself. "I'm calling the police," I said. "I'm calling them right now." I pulled out my phone. I dialed 911. The dispatcher answered. I gave her the address. I told her my daughter was missing. I told her I thought she might be trapped in the crawl space. The dispatcher said they would send officers. She told me to stay on the line. She told me to stay calm. But I couldn't stay calm. Not with Daniel crying in the corner. Not with Leo clinging to my leg. Not with the scratching sounds still echoing from the walls. "Ma'am, can you describe the sounds you're hearing?" the dispatcher asked. "It's scratching," I said. "Like fingernails on wood. It's coming from everywhere. The walls. The ceiling. The floor." "Ma'am, are you in danger?" she asked. "Is there someone in the house with you who might be a threat?" I looked at Daniel. He had stopped crying. He was staring at me. His eyes were hollow. Empty. He looked like a ghost. My son-in-law's here, I said. He's been acting strange. He's been talking about walls and crawl spaces. I don't know if I can trust him. Ma'am, I want you to stay on the line, the dispatcher said. The officers are on their way. Do not hang up. Do not leave the room unless you feel unsafe. I understand, I said. Just then, the scratching sound intensified. It became louder, more frantic. It was coming from the closet. From the floor of the closet. Daniel turned. He looked at the closet. His face went white. It's her, he said. She's in there. She's trying to get out. He rushed to the closet. He threw open the door. He moved the clothes aside. He pushed the shoes out of the way. And there, on the floor of the closet, was a trapdoor. A wooden trapdoor with a rusty metal ring. Daniel grabbed the ring. He pulled. The trapdoor didn't budge. It was stuck. It was sealed. It's locked, he said. I locked it. I don't remember locking it. But I must have. I must have locked it after she fell in. Then unlock it, I said. I can't, he said. I don't have the key. I don't know where the key is. Daniel, you have to find it, I said. You have to find it right now. He shook his head. He looked at me. His eyes were wild. I can't, he said. I buried it. I buried it in the garden. Under the rose bushes. I thought if I buried it, I could forget. I thought if I hid it, I could pretend this never happened. Then dig it up, I said. Go outside and dig it up. Right now. I can't, he said again. It's too late. It's been 5 days. There's no way she's still alive. There's no way she could have survived. He moved towards the trapdoor. He picked up a hammer that was lying on the floor. The same hammer he used in his workshop. The same hammer he used to build cabinets. If she's not alive, he said, then I have to make sure she's never found. He raised the hammer over his head. He brought it down on the trapdoor. No! I screamed. I rushed at him. I grabbed his arm. I tried to stop him. But he was too strong. He threw me off. I hit the floor. The impact knocked the wind out of me. I gasped for air. I watched him raise the hammer again. He brought it down on the trapdoor. Splinters flew. The wood cracked. He raised it again. He brought it down again. The trapdoor began to splinter. It began to give way. And through the cracks, I heard a sound. A faint sound. A weak sound. A voice. Help me, it whispered. Please. Help me. It was Emily. And she was alive. Emily was alive. The voice was faint. It was weak. It was the voice of someone who had been screaming for a long, long time. But it was unmistakably hers. Mom, she said. Mom, I'm down here. Please. Please help me. I scrambled to my feet. I pushed Daniel aside. He was frozen. The hammer hung limp in his hand. His face was white as chalk. Emily, I said. I dropped to my knees beside the trapdoor. I pressed my face against the splintered wood. Emily, I'm here. I'm here, baby. I'm going to get you out. Mom, I can't breathe, she said. Her voice was thin. It was ragged. It was the voice of someone who had been running out of air for a very long time. Just hold on, I said. Just hold on. Help is coming. The police are on their way. Please hurry, she said. It's so dark. It's so cold. I've been in here so long. I thought I was going to die. I turned to Daniel. Give me the hammer, I said. Give it to me now. He didn't move. He just stood there, staring at the trapdoor. Staring at the cracks. Staring at the darkness below. Daniel, I said. My voice was sharp. Give me the hammer. He blinked. He looked at me. He looked at the hammer. He handed it to me. His hands were shaking. I took the hammer. I raised it over my head. I brought it down on the trapdoor with all my strength. The wood splintered further. I swung again. And again. And again. The trapdoor shattered. A large hole appeared. I peered into the darkness. It was a crawl space. A narrow, cramped space beneath the floorboards. It was filled with dust and cobwebs. And at the bottom, I saw a shape. A figure. A woman. Emily was lying on her side. Her arms were wrapped around her chest. Her face was pale. Her lips were blue. She was covered in grime and dirt. But she was breathing. She was alive. Emily, I said. I reached down. I grabbed her hand. It was cold. It was bony. I could feel every bone. Emily, I'm going to pull you out. Just hold on to me. She grabbed my arm. Her grip was weak, but it was there. It was a grip of desperation. A grip of a woman who refused to give up. I pulled. I pulled with all my strength. She was stuck. The space was narrow. The floorboards were tight. Daniel, I said. I need your help. Help me pull her out. Daniel didn't move. He was still frozen. Still staring. Daniel. I screamed. Help me. He snapped out of it. He rushed to the trapdoor. He grabbed Emily's other arm. Together, we pulled. We pulled with all our might. The floorboards scraped against Emily's body. They tore her clothes. They cut her skin. But she was moving. She was coming out. Finally, she emerged. She fell into my arms. She was so light. She was so thin. She was a skeleton of the woman I had known. Mom, she said. She started to cry. Mom, I thought I was going to die in there. I thought I was never going to see you again. Shoo, I said. I rocked her back and forth. I'm here. I'm here, baby. You're safe now. You're safe. Leo ran to us. He wrapped his little arms around his mother's leg. He was crying too. His small body was shaking. Mommy, he sobbed. Mommy, I was so scared. I was so scared. Emily reached down. She touched his face. She stroked his hair. I know, baby, she said. I know. I'm so sorry you had to see this. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. I held them both. I held them tight. I didn't want to let go. I was afraid that if I let go, they would disappear. They would vanish into the darkness again. Daniel was still standing in the corner. He was staring at his family. His eyes were filled with tears. His face was a mask of grief. Emily, he said. Emily, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I was so scared. I was so scared of losing you. I thought you were dead. I thought I had killed you. I didn't know what to do. You should have called an ambulance, Emily said. Her voice was bitter. It was sharp. It was the voice of a woman who had been betrayed. You should have gotten help. You should have done anything other than burying me in the crawl space. I know, he said. I know. I know I messed up. I know I made a terrible mistake. But please, Emily, you have to believe me. I love you. I love you and Leo more than anything in the world. How can you say that? She demanded. How can you say you love me when you locked me in the dark, when you left me to rot, when you made me watch the wall crumble and fall around me? Daniel took a step forward. Emily flinched. She pressed herself against me. She was afraid of him. Stay back, I said. Don't come any closer. Daniel stopped. He held up his hands. Please, he said. I'm not going to hurt you. I would never hurt you. You already did, she said. You already hurt me more than you can possibly imagine. You took away my freedom. You took away my hope. You made me believe I was going to die alone and forgotten. Daniel dropped to his knees. He started to cry. He sobbed into his hands. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I will spend the rest of my life trying to make this up to you. I will do anything. Anything. Emily closed her eyes. She was crying too. The tears streamed down her face. They cut tracks through the dust and grime. She shook her head. I don't know if I can ever forgive you, she said. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. You were supposed to protect me. You were supposed to be my partner. But you left me to die. I know, he said. I know. And I will never forgive myself for that. But please, Emily, don't give up on me. Don't give up on our family. We can work through this. We can get help. We can rebuild. Emily looked at Leo. He was still clinging to her leg. She looked at him. Her face softened. She reached down and stroked his hair. I can't make any promises, she said. I don't know what's going to happen. But for Leo's sake, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to get help. Daniel looked up. His eyes were filled with hope. Thank you, he said. Thank you, Emily. Thank you. I promise I will never, ever do anything like this again. Just then, we heard the sirens. The police were coming. The dispatcher had sent them. They were minutes away. Daniel's face went white. He looked at me. He looked at Emily. He looked at the hole in the floor. Emily, he said. You have to tell them it was an accident. You have to tell them I didn't mean to hurt you. You have to tell them I was just scared. Emily looked at him. Her eyes were hard. They were cold. They were the eyes of a woman who had seen the worst of humanity. And had seen it in the face of the man she loved. I can't lie for you, Daniel, she said. I won't lie for you. You locked me in a crawl space. You left me to die. That's the truth. And the truth is what's going to matter now. Daniel's face crumpled. He started to beg. He started to plead. He told her he loved her. He told her he needed her. He told her he couldn't live without her. But Emily didn't listen. She turned away from him. She looked at me. She squeezed my hand. Mom, she said. Thank you. Thank you for coming to find me. Thank you for not giving up on me. I hugged her. I held her tight. I didn't want to let go. Always, baby, I said. Always. The police burst through the front door. They swarmed the house. They found Daniel on his knees. They found the hole in the floor. They found Emily. They took control of the situation. Paramedics rushed in. They put Emily on a stretcher. They gave her oxygen. They checked her vital signs. They wrapped her in a warm blanket. They carried her out of the house. I followed them. I held Leo's hand. I watched them put Emily into the ambulance. I watched them close the doors. I watched the ambulance drive away. I climbed into my car. I drove to the hospital. I didn't look back. Daniel was arrested. He was taken to jail. He was charged with assault, false imprisonment, and attempted murder. He was held without bail. He was facing a long, long time in prison. I sat in the waiting room of the hospital. I held Leo on my lap. I watched the doctors work on my daughter. I prayed. I prayed harder than I had ever prayed in my life. And after a few hours, a doctor came out. He was smiling. He told me Emily was going to be okay. She was weak. She was dehydrated. She had lost a lot of weight. But she was going to recover. She was going to live. I cried. I cried tears of joy. I held Leo tight. I told him his mother was going to be okay. I told him we were going to be okay. We went to see Emily. She was in a hospital bed. She was hooked up to IVs. She had bandages on her arms. But she was awake. She was smiling. Mom, she said. You came back. Of course I came back, I said. I'm never leaving you again. And I meant it. I spent the next few days at the hospital. I stayed by Emily's side. I helped her eat. I helped her walk. I helped her talk about what had happened. It was hard. It was painful. But it was necessary. And slowly, she started to heal. The days turned into weeks. Emily grew stronger. The color returned to her cheeks. The light returned to her eyes. She ate solid food. She walked without help. She started to laugh again. It was a small sound at first. A tentative sound. But it grew. It became louder. It became more confident. It was the sound of a woman reclaiming her life. Leo stayed with me during those weeks. He slept in the guest room. He ate my cooking. He played in my backyard. He asked questions I couldn't answer. He drew pictures I didn't want to see. He had nightmares. He would wake up screaming. He would call out for his mother. I would hold him until the trembling stopped. But he was resilient. Children are resilient. They bounce back. They find joy in the smallest things. A butterfly in the garden. A rainbow after a storm. A cookie fresh from the oven. Leo found joy. And that joy helped us all. Emily was discharged from the hospital after 2 weeks. She came to stay with me. She couldn't go back to that house. She couldn't bear to see it. She couldn't bear to be in it. The memories were too fresh. The wounds were too deep. We made a decision. We would sell the house. We would leave Glendale. We would start over somewhere new. Somewhere far away. Somewhere without bad memories. But first, we had to face the trial. Daniel's trial. It was the last hurdle. The last obstacle. The last thing standing between us and our new life. The trial was held in the county courthouse. It was a grand building. Old and imposing. It had marble floors and high ceilings and dark wooden benches. It smelled of dust and old paper and despair. Emily was nervous. She fidgeted in her seat. She twisted her hands in her lap. She bit her lip. She couldn't sit still. Mom, she said. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can face him. You can, I said. I took her hand. I squeezed it. You are the strongest person I know. You survived 5 days in a crawl space. You can survive a few hours in a courtroom. She nodded. She took a deep breath. She steadied herself. She walked into the courtroom with her head held high. Daniel was already there. He was sitting at the defense table. He was wearing a suit. It was too big for him. He had lost weight in jail. He looked thin. He looked pale. He looked like a ghost. He looked at Emily as she walked in. His eyes were filled with longing. They were filled with regret. They were filled with love. It was a love that had curdled. A love that had soured. A love that had turned into something dark and twisted. Emily looked back at him. She didn't flinch. She didn't look away. She looked at him with cold, hard eyes. She looked at him like he was a stranger. Like he was someone she had never known. The trial began. The prosecutor presented the evidence. The hole in the floor. The bloodstains. The trapdoor. The key buried in the garden. The statements from the police. The testimony of the neighbors. The testimony of the doctors. It was overwhelming. It was damning. It was impossible to deny. Daniel's lawyer tried to defend him. He argued it was an accident. He argued Daniel had been under extreme stress. He argued Daniel had made a terrible mistake. He argued Daniel was remorseful. He argued Daniel deserved a second chance. But the jury wasn't convinced. They saw the evidence. They heard the testimony. They understood the truth. Daniel had locked his wife in a crawl space. Daniel had left her to die. Daniel had tried to hide his crime. There was no excuse. There was no justification. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. 2 hours of waiting. 2 hours of pacing. 2 hours of holding our breath. And then the verdict came. Guilty. On all counts. Assault. False imprisonment. Attempted murder. Emily cried. She cried tears of relief. She cried tears of closure. She held my hand. She held it tight. Daniel was sentenced to 25 years to life. He would be an old man when he got out. If he ever got out, he would miss his son's childhood. He would miss his son's graduation. He would miss his son's wedding. He would miss everything that mattered. Before they took him away, he asked to see Emily. He asked for one last chance to speak to her. He begged. He pleaded. He cried. The guards looked at Emily. They asked her if she wanted to see him. They told her it was her choice. Emily thought for a long moment. She looked at me. She looked at Leo. She looked at the courtroom. She looked at the man who had once been her husband. And then she nodded. She agreed to see him. They took her to a visiting room. It was a small room with a glass partition. Daniel sat on one side. Emily sat on the other. They picked up the phones. They looked at each other through the glass. Emily, Daniel said. His voice was thick with tears. Emily, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything I did. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to hurt Leo. I was scared. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I know, Emily said. Her voice was calm. It was steady. It was the voice of a woman who had made peace with her past. I know you were scared. I know you made a mistake. But that doesn't change what you did. That doesn't change how I felt. That doesn't change how I feel now. I know, he said. I know. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you. I will do everything I can to be a better man. I will do everything I can to be a better father to Leo. Leo will be fine, she said. He has me. He has my mother. He has a whole family who loves him. He doesn't need you to be a better father. He needs you to accept the consequences of your actions. Daniel sobbed. He put his head in his hands. He couldn't look at her. I'm sorry, he said again. I'm so sorry. I forgive you, Emily said. She said it softly. She said it gently. She said it like a mother telling a child it was okay to cry. I forgive you, Daniel. Not for your sake. For mine. I need to move on. I need to let go. I need to build a new life. And I can't do that if I'm still holding on to the anger. I can't do that if I'm still holding on to the pain. Daniel looked up. His eyes were red. His face was wet with tears. Thank you, he said. Thank you, Emily. You are the strongest person I have ever known. No, she said. I'm not strong. I'm just someone who refused to give up. I'm just someone who had something to fight for. I had Leo. I had my mother. I had a future. And that's what kept me alive. She put down the phone. She stood up. She walked to the door. She didn't look back. And I was so proud of her. We left the courthouse together. We walked into the sunlight. The air was fresh. The sky was blue. The world was full of possibility. Emily took a deep breath. She looked at me. She smiled. Let's go home, Mom, she said. And we did. We went back to my house. We packed our bags. We loaded the car. We drove out of Phoenix. We drove out of Arizona. We drove towards a new life. It wasn't easy. It wasn't simple. It was hard. It was painful. It was full of ups and downs. But we made it. We made it because we had each other. We made it because we refused to give up. We made it because love is stronger than fear. Love is stronger than hate. Love is stronger than anything. Emily and Leo are doing well. They live in a small town in Colorado. It's quiet. It's peaceful. It's far away from the bad memories. Emily works as a nurse at the local clinic. She helps people. She saves lives. Leo is in school. He has friends. He plays sports. He's happy. I visit them often. I watch them grow. I watch them heal. I watch them thrive. And I think about that day. I think about the scratching. I think about the trapdoor. I think about my daughter's voice in the darkness. It haunts me. It will always haunt me. But it also reminds me of something. It reminds me that love is powerful. It reminds me that hope is eternal. It reminds me that we can survive anything if we have someone to survive for. I look at Emily. I look at Leo. I see their smiles. I hear their laughter. And I know that everything we went through is worth it. Because we came out the other side. We came out stronger. We came out together. And that's all that really matters. It has been 1 year now. 1 year since I drove to that house in Glendale. 1 year since I heard the scratching under the bed. 1 year since I found my daughter in a crawl space. 1 year since everything changed. I am sitting on the porch of my small house in Phoenix. The sun is setting. The sky is orange and pink and purple. It is beautiful. It is peaceful. It is the kind of evening that makes you forget all the bad things. At least for a little while. Emily and Leo are here. They came to visit for the weekend. They're inside, making dinner. I can hear Emily laughing. I can hear Leo running around. I can hear the sounds of a family. A broken family. A healing family. A family that survived. I close my eyes. I remember that day. I remember every detail. The overgrown lawn. The flyer tucked in the door. The stale air in the house. The perfect, pristine living room. The coffee mug in the sink. The dust on the dinosaur. I remember the scratching. The sound that will never leave my head. The sound of hope. The sound of desperation. The sound of my daughter fighting to stay alive. I remember finding Leo under the bed. His tiny body pressed flat against the floor. His eyes wide with terror. His finger pressed to his lips. He was so brave. He was so scared. He was so young. I remember Daniel. The man I once trusted. The man I once believed in. He seemed so lost. He seemed so confused. But he was hiding something. He was hiding everything. He had locked my daughter in the dark. He had left her to die. I remember the trapdoor. The splintered wood. The darkness below. The voice that called out to me. Mom, I'm down here. Please help me. Those words will stay with me forever. I remember pulling her out. I remember holding her in my arms. I remember the feeling of her bones. The feeling of her weakness. The feeling of her fear. But I also remember her strength. I remember her courage. I remember her refusal to give up. She survived 5 days in a crawl space. 5 days without food. 5 days without water. 5 days without light. She survived because she had something to live for. She had Leo. She had me. She had a future. I open my eyes. The sun has set. The sky is dark. The stars are beginning to appear. I see the first star of the evening. I make a wish. I wish for my daughter's happiness. I wish for my grandson's safety. I wish for peace. Emily comes out onto the porch. She sits beside me. She leans her head on my shoulder. Mom, she says. What are you thinking about? I smile. I put my arm around her. I'm thinking about how proud I am of you, I say. I'm thinking about how strong you are. I'm thinking about how far we've come. She is quiet for a moment. She is thinking. She is processing. She is remembering. I think about it a lot, she says. I think about being in that crawl space. I think about the darkness. I think about the cold. I think about the scratching. I know, I say. I do too. Do you ever think about him? She asks. Do you ever think about Daniel? I pause. I think about Daniel. I think about the man he used to be. The man who loved my daughter. The man who played with my grandson. The man who built cabinets in his workshop. He was a good man. He was a good father. He was a good husband. But something changed. Something snapped. Something broke. I think about him sometimes, I say. I think about how he could have done something so terrible. I think about how he could have hurt the people he loved. I think about how he could have let fear control him. Emily nods. I think about that too, she says. I think about how scared he must have been. I think about how he must have felt when he thought I was dead. I think about how he must have felt when he realized I was still alive. But that doesn't excuse what he did, I say. It doesn't justify it. He made a choice. He chose to lock you up. He chose to leave you to die. He chose to try and hide his crime. I know, she says. I know. And I don't forgive him for that. I don't think I ever can. But I can understand it. I can understand how fear can make people do terrible things. I can understand how love can turn into something dark. I look at her. She is so wise. She is so strong. She is so much more than what she went through. She is a survivor. She is a mother. She is a daughter. She is a woman who refused to give up. You are amazing, I say. You know that you are the most amazing person I have ever known. She laughs. It is a soft, gentle laugh. It is the sound of healing. I learned from the best, she says. I learned from you. We sit in silence. We watch the stars. We listen to the sounds of the night. The crickets are chirping. The wind is blowing. The world is moving forward. Leo comes outside. He runs to his mother. He climbs into her lap. He is getting bigger. He is getting stronger. He is growing into a wonderful little boy. Grandma, he says. Can you tell me a story, a happy story? I smile. I look at him. I look at his mother. I think about all the stories I could tell. The good stories. The bad stories. The stories of survival. The stories of hope. Of course, sweetheart, I say. I'll tell you a happy story. A story about a mother and a daughter. A story about love. A story about never giving up. And I begin to tell the story. Not the whole story. Not the dark parts. Just the parts about love. Just the parts about hope. Just the parts about us. As I tell the story, I realize something. I realize that this is what matters. This is what life is about. Not the bad things. Not the dark things. The good things. The light things. The things that make us whole. Emily survived because she had love. She had love for her son. She had love for her mother. She had love for life itself. And that love is what saved her. I think about the scratching. I think about the sound that haunted me. But I also think about the sound that saved me. The sound of my daughter's voice. The sound of her calling my name. The sound of her fighting to stay alive. That sound is what I hold on to. That sound is what gets me through the dark nights. That sound is what reminds me that love is the most powerful force in the universe. And I know that no matter what happens, no matter what we face, we will be okay. We will be okay because we have each other. We will be okay because we have love. We will be okay because we are survivors. I finish the story. Leo is asleep. He is curled up in his mother's lap. He is peaceful. He is safe. He is loved. Emily looks at me. She smiles. It is a smile of gratitude. It is a smile of hope. Thank you, Mom, she says. Thank you for everything. I take her hand. I squeeze it. Always, baby, I say. Always. And I know, deep in my heart, that we are going to be just fine. We have each other. We have love. And that's all we will ever need. The scratching will always be a part of our story. But so will the love. So will the hope. So will the survival. And that's what makes us who we are. I think about that night a lot. I think about the scratching. I think about the fingernail. I think about the voice in the wall. It haunts me. It will probably haunt me for the rest of my life. But I also think about the strength, the courage, the love. My daughter survived. She survived against all odds. She survived because she refused to give up. She survived because she fought to live. She survived because she had something to live for. She had Leo. She had me. She had a future. And that's what I want you to take away from this story. Never give up on the people you love. Never give up on yourself. And never, ever underestimate the power of a mother's love. Because love is what saved Emily. Love is what brought me to that house. Love is what gave me the strength to find her. And love is what will carry us through the darkest days. The scratching will never stop haunting my dreams. But neither will the sound of my daughter's voice calling my name. And that's all that matters. Thank you for listening to our story. If it touched your heart, please like this video and share it. Leave a comment below. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your struggles. Tell me about your triumphs. We're all in this together. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. There are more stories to come. Stories of hope. Stories of survival. Stories of families who fight back. Subscribe now. You won't want to miss what happens next.